Hey everybody, what is up? It is Ballinger. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you doing? Yep, we're back to get into more drama. There's been a lot going on with quite a few people. There's a lot of like darker topics, such as like the whole Russell Brand thing, which I kind of want to make a video on, but also I'm a bit like, I really don't know if I can keep making videos about like darker topics and things, because I'm finding it's really triggering me now, and I'm finding it's having a real like effect on my mental health. So I'm trying to do what I can to kind of cover the darker topics, but it's been very sort of triggering for me, like I say, and it kind of re-traumatizes me to have to come on here and talk about like allegations and abuse and all of that stuff. But you know, of course I understand it's important to talk about all those kind of topics. I really do. You know, when you're a survivor of something like that, you do understand how important it is, but at the same time I'm trying to look after myself as well and trying not to keep re-traumatizing myself, because it really does have an effect on me and my life, and I can't do that all the time basically. But today, some of the stuff that I want to get into today is going to be about Trisha Paytas, Adam McIntyre, and also JoJo Siwa. I did mention before that I was going to make this video where JoJo Siwa went on the Howie Mandel podcast, and she was talking about her friendship with Colleen Ballinger. Now, when I watched this clip from the Howie Mandel podcast, what I'm going to say really stood out to me was when JoJo was talking about the fact that she was a 12-year-old fan of Colleen Ballinger. It was when JoJo was doing Dance Mums. You see in the clip here, she says, oh, Todrick Hall organised some party where Colleen Ballinger, Miranda Sings was going to be there, and JoJo was at the time an excited fan, and she was miffed that she didn't get invited to this party. So Todrick, I believe, set up a dinner, or Colleen said she was sorry that JoJo didn't get to come to this party that Todrick organised, and then JoJo ended up going out on a dinner with Colleen Ballinger when JoJo was just 12 years old. To me, the really alarming thing is a 12-year-old going to dinner with someone that they're a fan of. That's not like normal behaviour. That, to me, right there, straight away, the power imbalance is massive, massive. Because you've got Colleen Ballinger, who's this huge YouTube star, comedian, you know, going on tour and everything like that, really successful. And JoJo even mentions that she looked up to her because she was so successful. So JoJo looked up to Colleen because of the success on YouTube and everything else. She was a fan of Colleen's work. And then JoJo goes to dinner, 12-year-old JoJo goes to dinner with this woman who she's a fan of, who she idolizes. And then this woman somehow convinces her to sort of start her own YouTube channel, because all of Colleen's family are on YouTube and it's a really great thing. Oh yeah, we all vlog our lives. It's so much fun, you should do it too. I feel like, as the adult in the situation there, Colleen should have been a lot more careful. One, going to dinner with a 12-year-old. The power imbalance. You know, straight away, you've got little JoJo Siwa, 12 years old, looking up to Colleen. And I just feel like that put JoJo in a position to be manipulated.
What do you say about that?
I've known Colleen since I was 12.
So for those that don't know, Colleen is in the middle of a kind of a...
It's tough. It's a...
Colleen, what was the name of the character?
Miranda Sings.
Miranda Sings. My other daughter went to all the concerts and everything, and she's getting accused of things.
Yes.
Which we don't have to talk about that she's accused of, but I would imagine if you're friends with her, you kind of met her when you were young.
I was 12 when I met her. And she's always been nothing but kind to me. Her family, nothing but kind to me. I think it's really, this is the first time that I've talked about this, so I just want to make sure I say my exact piece that I want to say. The internet can take a lie and run so far with it, so far that it's to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
So on the Howie Mandel podcast there, JoJo is saying, oh, the internet is lying about Colleen. When, I don't know, if you've kept up with this whole thing with Colleen Ballinger, then you'll know that there have been victims of Colleen and also of her family who've come out sharing text messages. For example, there was a victim called Oliver who shared a lot of text messages over on Twitter. There was a whole entire thread of these text messages with Colleen's brother, and they were of a sexual nature. So how is it a lie? Okay, that was Colleen's brother, but then you've got Adam McIntyre and all of his evidence that he shared about the group chats that Colleen's been in with people who are children, really children. And she's been having conversations that are of a sexual nature with them, conversations that are inappropriate to have with people who are minors. There's been so much proof shown, so I don't know how JoJo Siwa can sit there and say, oh, the internet can run so far with a lie. It's not a lie, girl. There is so much that's been shown. We've also had the Swoop documentary where Colleen's ex-husband Joshua has come out and shared his story as well. When you've got this much evidence against somebody, this much proof, you know, this many people coming out to talk about somebody, it's not a lie. They're not all lying. But yet JoJo is sitting there on this podcast, oh, the internet's running with a lie. But you can see Howie Mandel trying to say to her, but hang on a minute, JoJo, you were friends with Colleen from a very young age. Trying to, you know, he's trying to sort of plant the seed that, hang on a minute, JoJo, you were so young that you probably didn't know it wasn't normal for somebody of Colleen's age to befriend you. Which, what does somebody who's an adult want to be friends with a 12-year-old for? That's what I don't understand. For me, that's very strange, you know, very strange. I have no desire, you know, to be friends with someone who's 12 years old as an adult. Why would I want that? Why would Colleen want that?
And I've had that happen to me. And I know Colleen very, very, very well. And I think the work that Colleen has done for the internet is incredible. I think her creativity is incredible. Miranda Sings is a character, is a comedian. And I think that it's very hard to be a character where people are also looking at you as you're a real human behind that character. And I think being a comedian is very hard because you were able to do things years ago that were okay. And now that we've grown and we've matured, we've realized that they're not okay. You know what I mean?
But you, as somebody who's been in the public eye for a long time,
Yes.
Do you think that it is appropriate to communicate openly with everybody that reaches out to you?
No, I don't think that communicating with fans is, you got to be careful to not,
and that's what I'm saying,
to
like,
not blur a friend-fan line. It's very tough.
And here's my question to you. Regardless of judging whatever specifically is being said that was happening, and I'm just saying this as a parent again. You said you started communicating with her when you were 12.
Yes.
Is that you want to be a parent?
But you guys were in the same industry.
So we were
too.
in the
like,
same.
You guys were making videos and stuff together.
So
right?
we actually met because on Dance Moms, do you know Tadrick Hall?
Yes.
So on Dance Moms, Tadrick Hall had a party and invited the Dance Moms cast, and 4 of the girls went, and they discluded myself and Nia, who is another girl on the show. And we all knew Tadrick, so we were fine with that. But then Colleen, as Miranda, surprised the girls. And me and Nia were devastated because we were massive fans, and we loved Colleen and we loved Miranda. And then when the episode came out, Colleen saw how upset me and Nia were. And she reached out to Holly and was like, I would love to like make this up to you guys. She was like, I was wondering where JoJo and Nia were. Like, I had no idea that this was the case. Like, please, like, whatever you guys want. Like, I just want to make the kids happy. Like, I just want JoJo and Nia to not be sad anymore. And so we ended up going to dinner with Colleen, and it was me and my mom and Nia and Holly. And Colleen was telling me that night about YouTube and how her whole family did it and how it was awesome, and she vlogs her life. And that night is when I went home and I made my YouTube channel and decided that that was going to be my career, essentially. And
that's a wonderful, sweet, appropriate story.
Yes.
How is it for you now being her friend and reading some of what we read? Do you think it's all a lie? Do you think it's like, have you talked to her?
There have been a lot of people on the internet who have gotten hit with this cancellation. And a lot of them I know, some of them I don't know. And I look at it and I see that this is a sensitive subject. Somebody who is affected by any sort of anything having to do with adults, and I mean, for real grooming it's a very sensitive thing.
And that's another bloody one. James Charles, because JoJo Siwa, not only is she defending Colleen Ballinger, but JoJo Siwa has defended James Charles a lot. JoJo Siwa has collaborated with James Charles on many, many occasions, even after all the stuff that came out about him being inappropriate with minors, being in people's DMs when they were underage, everything like this, all the things that James Charles himself admitted to on video. JoJo Siwa has stood by him and continued to do YouTube collaborations with him and all that stuff, making content with him. So this is the second time that we're seeing JoJo Siwa stand up for somebody who is, in her words, being cancelled for being predatory and a groomer.
You must have really young people reaching out to you now.
I mean, I do, and it's funny. Like, I realized when I hit 18, I was like, oh, this is different now. Like, because
right.
You know, you're young and you're dumb, and I was like, I need to be very careful about this.
Like, I know, like, her daughter's 9.
Yeah.
If she could right now, and she
write
watches
to you and talk to you, like
she would,
yeah.
and she would love to be your friend and love to be online.
And I'm sure you want to reach out to your fans and be like, hey, and give that back to them since they're such big fans of you.
The difference with Colleen and I is we were, once I became her friend and she became my friend, and she became somebody that I looked up to. She became somebody that I idolized. She became somebody that I was like, wow, this person is a hard worker. She's a genius. She's a very strong YouTuber. And I idolized that, you know? And so throughout our friendship, we've probably filmed 100 videos together. And she's cool.
Okay, now we know that JoJo was on the Dance Mum show and that JoJo was kind of something of a celebrity in her own right at that time. But for Colleen to use a minor in her content, to have a transactional relationship with, again, I feel like that's really not appropriate, you know? Because Colleen would have been benefiting from those collaborations that she did with JoJo financially. So it's almost kind of like child exploitation in a way. You know, it's a transactional relationship that an adult is having with someone who is 12 years old. It's a bit like, you know, when you see pushy stage mums who are kind of, you know, putting their kids out there to go and earn the bread, you know, and then they're reaping all the benefits from it, you know, because Colleen was gaining from that relationship with JoJo while JoJo was a minor.
You know, and I think the problem is the internet was able to capitalize off of her cancellation, and they still are, and they still are continuing to, and it's not okay because a lot of it is based off of lies.
I'm also going to include some of Adam McIntyre reacting to the Trisha Paytas podcast where Trisha was talking about this, because there's a lot in there that I agree with. I watched both the Trisha podcast and then I watched Adam's reaction as well. There's a lot that I agree with what they say in this clip that I'm going to play you, talking about the whole JoJo Siwa Colleen's situation, the friendship, and their opinions on it, because I'm very much on the same page as them with this bit.
That is such a great point from Trisha. I didn't think about it. That, like, yeah, sure, JoJo's like the only one going out in the trenches, but like JoJo is the youngest of Colleen's friends. Well, there's probably fucking younger ones in group chats, but the youngest that we are aware of now, and is the only one that's like going to the fucking battle. One of her youngest friends going to battle for her. Where are we seeing this before? Where are we seeing this before?
You can love someone, like I'm sure her husband loves her, I'm sure her parents love her, and you can love someone and just know that they're in the wrong and let them deal with the consequences. Like JoJo, just like, you need to know this is the wrong, be there for them privately, because you don't want them to like hurt themselves or anything like that. But to defend and call other people who were hurt by this like victims, I'm like, that's so gross.
Liars.
On so many levels. And I don't know 100% if I blame JoJo, because she's obviously hearing it from someone, and it's obviously a manipulation. And you are friends with someone since you're a child. She kept reiterating, since I was 12, since this, we became friends.
Yeah, and JoJo kept harping on about the fact that, you know, JoJo also became friends with Colleen at 12 years old, and you know, they're best friends to this day. Girl, give you a couple of years and you'll have a different opinion of that. But I think it's just, I would be so sympathetic towards JoJo if JoJo didn't have a track record of going against the public and backlash in order to promote people like James Charles and stuff. So my niceness for JoJo really doesn't go that far, because she actively does this with so many other people that have actually accused themselves of being predators. I mean, James Charles said he messaged to you under the age of 18. So, it's a pattern for JoJo.
Like, that's the problem. That's the problem. You're the only one sticking up for this because you met her when you're a child and you're believing all this stuff, which we saw in the swoop thing when Joshua talked about the JoJo situation, which is...
Starting the conversation with, I've been friends with her since I was 12, isn't a good look. Yeah, it just further proves our point.
He was just... I had like a sickness in my stomach. The fact that there was even this battle, which Josh allegedly said that he didn't want a part of like getting JoJo on people's side during that, or like, oh, they're not talking to her because she's on the...
The fact I told that story before the Swip doc came out, and Josh told that story, and people were like, oh my god, Adam told this story on Twitch, it must mean that Adam wasn't lying. When are you going to start trusting me? When are you going to start trusting me?
It's like, everyone's a grown adult in this situation except for JoJo. So like even putting her in that situation, it's like when the worst kind of parents will make the kids in the middle of the divorce, which is not even their child. So it's even weirder that they were doing that. But it just like the whole thing is like so sick and twisted. So then she feels like, yeah, she has loyalty to Colleen because Colleen was there for her during this difficult time or whatever. It's just...
A difficult time that Colleen created, by the way.
A lot. And hearing the situation about JoJo and how they were all friends with her, I don't know. It's just, no matter how mature a child is, like hanging out with someone like that, being that close to someone as a child when you're not their parent or not related to them, and not a mentor, by the way. I should also say this. Some people are asking about like the big brother, big sister program.
My God, that word mentor is ruined after Johnny.
Different. I think having like, you know, helping a child who doesn't have like a mentor at home, like, of course, those systems could be skewed, but like you're designated, you're being watched, all this stuff like that. Like, of course, that's like a different thing. And not everyone has the intentions, but I think in general, being friends or too friendly, even in that situation with a child or sharing this information about a divorce, information about any of this stuff, is like, they're a child. Like, it's the fact that JoJo was even like witness to all of that and like involved with all of that to that extent is like disturbing. And now we're like seeing it as an adult, how she's like defending this and how she thinks it's like totally okay. Like, because Howie asked in the interview, this Howie Mandel interview she did, he asked like, oh, my granddaughter who's 9.
And Howie Mandel was like not on her side this entire time as well. I think that like Howie Mandel, I guess, was probably the perfect person to interview JoJo on this because he very much so didn't believe anything she was saying about Colleen. And then she'd be like, Colleen isn't a Grimmer and everyone's lying. And then Howie Mandel would be like, okay, that's fine. So whenever you met Colleen at the age of 12 and she befriended you, like...
And if she could talk to you, she would. And JoJo's like, yeah, but the difference is me and Colleen were friends. We became close friends. And I'm like, that right there is the problem. Like, you wouldn't be friends with Howie's 9-year-old granddaughter, but you're thinking it's okay because you guys are friends. How did you become friends? How did you have that closeness? Why? It's this, you idolize this person. Like, you obviously have these rose-colored glasses on. Like, there's so much wrong, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad for JoJo. I'm not saying she doesn't want to be a victim. She's not a victim, but I just don't think she's clearly not realizing the severity of what Colleen was doing with these friendships at the very minimum with like people like Adam and stuff like that, which is like so disturbing. And I think Colleen knows it's disturbing, hence why in her ukulele she was like, not a groomer, just a loser. Like, she's trying to make excuses. Like, she knows she was in these chats, it was inappropriate, but she's trying to like count it off as something less serious than what it was.
Yeah, I think that's like very much the point. JoJo knows how serious it is. She knows that Colleen Ballinger was in these group chats, all of this with minors, but yet she's trying to play it off as something much less serious than what it was. And that's the thing that's really, really kind of creepy to me in all of this, because JoJo herself, I don't think she kind of realizes it yet, but to me, JoJo herself has very much been a victim of Colleen's grooming, because she was friends with Colleen from such a young age, where she didn't know that it wasn't normal for an adult to have a friendship with a 12-year-old. You know, and I hope as JoJo looks back on that and reflects, maybe she can see, oh yeah, hang on a minute, Colleen was kind of exploiting me by including me in her content, and also it was weird that she was trying to be friends with a 12-year-old. And then also I hope that JoJo can look at Colleen's behaviour in the group chats, like the weenies and all these other group chats that have been brought up in like Adam's videos and stuff. I hope that JoJo Siwa can look at that and realise that Colleen's behaviour has been completely inappropriate. I don't think she will, because this is JoJo Siwa, who, as we said, you know, is also standing with James Charles and sticking up for him, even through all of his mess and all of his problems where he's been in minors' DMs, asking for nude pictures of minors. You know, he's been sexual with minors, which, like I said, if he wasn't a celebrity, James Charles, he would be getting in trouble for that. He really would. So for people like James Charles, Colleen Ballinger to be able to be inappropriate with kids and then not get in trouble for it is very concerning to me. You know, why is it just because somebody's a celebrity they can get away with it? Look at it in this country, in the UK. We've had people like bloody Jimmy Savile, the TV presenter who was on Top of the Pops, who all through the 70s and that was, you know, doing things with minors, boys, young boys, and then it didn't come out until after his death. So it's important that, you know, people continue to talk about Colleen and James, these people who are doing things that are not appropriate with kids, because it escalates and it becomes that situation, you know, where you've got somebody like Jimmy Savile and then after they've passed it comes out that they've got like 90 odd victims or something, you know. Anyway guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave this topic right here, but I'm gonna say take care, stay safe, stay well. Thank you so much for watching, and you can leave your comments and opinions down below as well. See you soon. Bye.